necessarily guilty of breaking his neck.
What's going on, YouTube? This is the Narrow Way coming to you with another video, and this video is going to be about me getting drug charges while I was in the military. And I talked about this a couple of years back in a video that I did, but I wanted to just kind of give the whole perspective, because I think in the old video that I did, I just gave like a pretty much a kind of an overview, but I wanted to kind of take it from the top and let you guys know what I got caught up in the Navy. So this was back in '96, and just to take you back of what happened that night, and I'll kind of even take you back before then. When I joined the Navy, I was young, I was stupid, and I just wanted to get out of the house, you know. And so I thought that the Navy was a great way to get out of the house, you know. I really wasn't focused on college. I went to college and I really wasn't focused on it. So the Navy was kind of like a way to get out of the house, get out of my parents' house. And so I did that. Took the ASVAB, scored pretty good on it. I scored really good on the ASVAB. And so I ended up getting out. But I still had a thug thizzle mentality. And even though I wasn't a thug, but I had a thug mentality. That's even worse. You know, so what's even worse is that you're not a thug, but you think you a thug, and you trying to have these thug tendencies, and you surround yourself with thuggish behavior, with people that you aligned your thought life with. So that's what I did. And so when I got in the Navy, I was it was weird because I left where I was living to go to the military, and then when I got in there, I wanted to be like a rebel. That's just so backwards. It should be the other way around. But anyway, so I left, and then I started hanging around. When I got in the Navy, I started hanging around with, you know, just people that could care less that they were in the military. Like, these people were like I wouldn't even say that ex gangbangers. That they were like, they joined the Navy, but they were still banging, you know. They were still throwing them up, you know. They were still throwing their sets up, and, you know, I never banged, you know. I'm from South Carolina, so, you know, like, we wasn't banging like that, and, you know, I wasn't around that. But, you know, when you're in the military, you're around people from straight up like Cali Bloods and Vice Lords, and, you know, disciples from Chicago, from St. Louis, Ohio banging. I mean, you know, from Cleveland. I mean, you from around people that you've never even had any experience with in your lifespan, in your short lifespan. So you're around all these people that you think is cool. You know, you think it's cool, and then you're young, and you're still impressionable. So all this stuff is cool. So that's what I thought. I was like, man, you know what? These are the cool guys. I'ma hang around them. So anyway, it was one night. I never forget. It was the NBA playoffs, and it was the Bulls versus the Pacers. And so we was all going to this. So there was this dude. He had an apartment. He lived on a ship. Cause I lived on a ship. And his name was Dirty Red, light-skinned black dude. And his name was Dirty Red. So me and this dude, so me and this guy that, you know, me and him kind of was cool. His name was McLaughlin, but we just called him McLaughlin, but we just called him Glock. You know, McLaughlin. So we just called him Glock. And so me and Glock was like, hey man, you trying to go over there? And I'm like, yeah, yo. I'm like, yeah, definitely. You know, definitely. Michael Jordan against Reggie Miller. Yeah, like we in there. And everybody, and it was a bunch of dudes. And the thing of it is, we knew what time it was. When you know, we knew that these guys wanna, you know, they want to know good. You know what I'm saying? Like, but the thing of it is, we didn't know that they was gonna be getting down how they was getting down. You know what I'm saying? Like, we knew that these guys were like still throwing their sets up and talking about folk and all this stuff like that, and like we knew that it was like that time, but we didn't know like how much they was really getting down. So anyway, we go over there, and you know, we chilling, and the next thing we know, these dudes are in there getting treed off. You know, they are partaking. They getting treated off. And so I wasn't doing it. Glock wasn't doing it. We were just over there to watch Michael Jordan versus Reggie Miller. You know what I'm saying? That's what we was doing. But they was getting down, well, what they was getting down with, you know, getting treated off. And it was like, okay. So I wasn't even over there for like 5-10 minutes. So I was over in the living room section watching the game, and so Glock was by the door. So there was a knock at the door, and you know, Glock didn't think like, he thought it was somebody else coming in. He didn't even look through the peephole. It wouldn't have mattered. Even if he did look through the peephole, it wouldn't have mattered. So he opens the door, and I'll never forget. I'll never forget. A black police officer was at the door, and we was like, oh man. And I'll never forget, his name was Officer Blackwell. Officer Blackwell. Yep. Norfolk State Police Department. So I don't even know if that guy still, I don't even know if he's still there, but if he's listening, he knows exactly who I am. Officer Blackwell. And Officer Blackwell, he was cool too. He was real cool. It was just him. And he said, he came in and he said, and he was real, you know, he was real demure. He wasn't tripping. He wasn't, you know, he wasn't trying to raise up on any of us or anything like that. He was like a, you know, real soft spoken, you know, real soft tone. And he said, some neighbors are saying that they smell weed smoke coming from this apartment. Any one of you guys? He's like, I see the roach over there. He was like, which one of you guys is that, you know, is that roach? And nobody said nothing. And I'm thinking to myself, like, in my mind, I'm like, man, y'all better speak up. I'm like, y'all better speak up. You know, then at that point in time, my whole life flashed before me. You know, people say that they life flashed before them when they about to die, or they're in a car crash and the car is turning and flipping over. My life flashed before me, because the situation where I came from was like, there were no more chances. Like, I had no more options. I failed out of college because I was playing around, and it was like, my parents, they was like aggravated with me because I really didn't really have any type of unction or any type of, you know, get go about myself, you know. And it was like, man, wow, I'm about to get kicked out. If they don't say something, nobody get kicked out of the Navy. And I just got in. I went in 1996, and it was like a couple of months later. I just got in. And so all this is in my mind. While Officer Blackwell just asked that one question. Like, my whole body is going warm. You know what I'm saying? So he said, okay. He said, I'm gonna ask y'all one more time. And he said, whose marijuana is that? Nobody said nothing. And so he said, this is what I'm gonna do. He said, I'm gonna step outside for 5 minutes. 5 minutes. And when I come back in, one of you guys is gonna tell me whose weed that is, or all of you guys are gonna get your IDs out and you're going to jail. So I'm gonna give y'all 5 minutes. You can figure it out whose weed it is. I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna get the information, or all you guys are going to jail. He walked out really slow, closed the door behind him, and everybody started looking around at each other. And the thing of it is, it's like nobody didn't want to say nothing, because it was like, if anybody had said something like, hey man, you need to go ahead, you need to go to handle that now you got everybody gonna come down on you. So people ain't saying nothing, because it's like, okay, man, who gonna take the fall? Cause the thing of it is, the Navy has zero tolerance. So now in the room, everybody now cares about their career. Now in the room, everybody's a tip-top sailor. Now everybody wanna focus on their career right now. Nobody wants to get kicked out of the Navy. Nobody want to get kicked out of the Navy. So while we in there looking like deer in headlights, Officer Blackwell comes back in. He was like, whose the marijuana it is? He didn't wait. Nobody said nothing. He's like, all right. He's like, all right. Everybody get your IDs out. And at that point, I knew I was done. I was done. At that point, I knew I was done. Done. I knew about God. But I wasn't living the life. You know, I went to church, but I wasn't living the life. You know, I wasn't living that life. But at that point, at that particular time, like, God was my best friend. At that particular time, God was my best friend. Did I really mean it at that time? Did I really want God in my life? For that situation, I did. So we all got out our IDs, and it was killing me to get my ID out. It was killing me to get my ID out. But I had to give it to him. So I gave him my, and everybody had military IDs. We all had military IDs. Because he didn't want my state ID. He wanted the military ID. And he says, okay, so he got all that information. And he says, y'all wait right here, I'm gonna call Shore Patrol. And I don't know if you guys, for people who aren't in the Navy, Shore Patrol is a military police. So he's gonna call Shore Patrol to come get us. And so he left, and he said, y'all wait for Shore Patrol. And we all was freaking out. So Glock was like, we not gonna wait for no Shore Patrol, man. He's like, we need to run back to the ship. So me and Glock broke, because I didn't even have my car up there then. So we ran, like it was like about maybe almost, we were probably about 10 miles away from so the apartment complex was on Little Creek Boulevard, and then that was about I think it was called Little Creek Apartments at the time. So if it's still there, you know where it is. So we ran from Little Creek Apartments all the way back to the ship. So while we was running, we was like, yo, Glock, what we gonna do? And I'm like freaking out, man. I'm freaking out. I am freaking out because I know I'm going to get kicked out, and I'm already thinking a lie. I'm going to tell my parents. Like I'm already thinking of the lie that I got kicked out of the Navy. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, me and Glock was like, look, man. He was like, the best thing that we should do is come clean, go to the Master at Arms, and the Master at Arms, the Master at Arms is the ship security officer. That's the Master at Arms. So if you guys didn't know, that's the Master at Arms in the Navy, like the MPs in the Army and the Air Force and stuff. So, and I'm like, why are we gonna go there? He was like, because we gonna tell them the truth. He's like, we gonna tell them that we're gonna ask for a drug test, and we're gonna tell them that we didn't do anything. And I was like, wow. I'm like, that might work. That might get us off the hook, because it'll show that we didn't, that we wasn't, we wasn't smoking. So anyway, again, the Navy has a zero tolerance drug policy. So anyway, I'm like, let's do it. Let's do it. So we go, and I'm thinking it was like gonna be one of the other Master at Arms, but it was this other Master at Arms, a black guy. He was on duty that night, and I wasn't thinking, or whatever like that. But the Master at Arms that night, he was down with like the dudes over at Dirty Red House. But anyway, he had to do his job. So we took a urinalysis piss test, volunteered piss test. So we did that. We told them what went down. Now, when you're telling the Master at Arms or anyone or anything like that of a matter, they're supposed to, that's something that they're not supposed to disclose to anyone. So we told them, and we write down statements and everything. So we like, okay, all right, we should be good. So anyway, fast forward, somehow the word gets out that me and Glock snitched on everybody that was over there. And all we was doing was say, hey, look, we didn't do anything. We're not saying who did, but we didn't do anything. But the way it was told was me and Glock were snitches. So anyway, fast forward, the hell that I had to go through until the court date, it was really bad, because I was labeled a snitch. I mean, they would talking about putting hits on me, and the thing of it is, you're talking about these dudes were like banging, and it's like they basically felt that they, like the dudes that did it. It was really one dude that did it. He was like pretty much like he had nothing to lose at that point. But you're still in the military, so you can't really get down like you really want to. Like, he really wanted to get down on me, and at that point I was like, well, if you're gonna do something, let's do it, because it was like I was just tired of being accused and being labeled that for like over a year. So that time was a very hard time in my life. It really made me grow up. It really made me appreciate a lot of things. And it really made me value where I was, the military. It really made me value the military while I was waiting for my trial. So, fast forward to 97, and this was after I came back from the Middle East and the Mediterranean. I had to go to, and that was a stressful time. That was a stressful time for me, because in the back of my mind, of me trying to enjoy the time when I was over there, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, wow, I could be getting kicked out. So I really couldn't enjoy myself to the fullest when I was over there. So anyway, fast forward, court date comes around. Now at this time, they did find out. So this time what happened was they tested everybody that was over the house, because then they could find out, you know, what time it was. Who we didn't say test everybody, but that's what they did. They said we're gonna test. So they found out who it was. They found out who the weed smoker was, and so at that time he was getting processed out the Navy. So while he was on restriction, and restriction means that you're restriction means that you're restricted to the ship. That means that he couldn't go anywhere. So what happened was, well, guys, I'm gonna have to cut this short. I'm gonna do a part 2, because I am about to go on a military base. So I will do a part 2 to this. All right, guys, stay tuned.